Hello, friend. Jen Foxbot here. Welcome to the first episode in a series that I'm calling for now Imagining Future Cities. And if you have a better title, let me know. So, in this series of videos, let's build our ideal future cities. This is something that I think about a lot. And since I really like building random things and prototyping and crafting and things like that, I thought it would be really fun for me and hopefully for you to bring some of these visions and dreams and wishes to life, so to speak, in cardboard. I'm a big fan of, if I have an idea that I'm really passionate about, I want to bring it into existence because then it's a lot easier for me to create the world that I want to see or whatever. So this is also an open invitation to you. I would love to hear the types of things that you want to see. If you had a magic wand and you could wave it around and build any kind of city that you wanted, what would you build? What would it sound like? What would it feel like? What would it look like? What would it smell like? How would you get around? How would you run into your friends? What would you do with your friends? So I'm going to start by just kind of like taking some of the ideas that I've had, and we're not going to get through all of them in this episode. This is going to be a very slow process, but we are going to start with my vision, and I will incorporate yours as you share with me. I can't promise I'll incorporate everything because maybe we don't agree, and that's okay. But I am really curious what your thoughts are and to have a discussion with, folks that have different ideas than me. So hopefully I can talk and craft at the same time. Okay, so one of the things that I think about most when I think about the cities that I want to live in, ooh, that's not a straight circle, is that, oh, I should have moved my cutting board. Oh, I have a tiny cutting board. All right, well, we'll grab this. Maybe we'll grab this. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so one of the things that I think about when I think about the cities of the future that I want to live in is, what can I model that city after? What ecosystems exist already in the world that are doing pretty good? And, I live in the Pacific Northwest and I'm surrounded by beautiful forests. And I love the way, don't worry, I'll be careful with this knife in my hand. I love the way that forests are cohesive ecosystems, or like they pretty much all the things that they need, they create within the forest, with the exception of sunshine and, well, water, right? Because sunshine obviously comes from the sun, which is very far away. And the earth is not a closed ecosystem by any means. And then also, of course, rain comes from the clouds, which is also outside of the forest. And so rain also will leave the forest in the form of rivers and all that good stuff. But basically, all the things that are made in the forest stay in the forest. And I would love to see our cities model that better. How can we use the resources that are in our local ecosystems in a way that when we're done with them, it feeds back into that same ecosystem? And so that's kind of like the model that I'm thinking about. And another inspiration that I've had is, like, honestly, my dream house would be a tree house. And so I thought it would be really cool to model apartment buildings off of giant trees. And so, oh, I apologize for that sound. And so I was thinking, like, you have a series of apartments where there's lots of outdoor space and there's kind of a central corridor running up, and each person kind of has like their own floor, maybe their own section of a floor that kind of spiral around. So I'm going to make a few of these. I wonder if I just make all of them the same. I don't know. This is prototyping. We're figuring this out as we go. And of course, whoopsies. Wow, that circle is all sorts of messed up. That is not a circle. It's okay. We do our best here. We do our best. I guess I could use this as a template because that fit. Another thing that I think about a lot is like, I'm not a huge fan of cars in the city because I think it's super dangerous and I hate parking and I hate traffic. And I love the train, and I really would love to see us do away with cars in the main areas of town. If I had a magic wand, I would be like, bury them below the ground. And then we would use smaller forms of transportation like bicycles, scooters, that sort of thing, to go from like major train stations or bus stations to our homes. But of course, you would need a really solid train system or bus system to get you close enough to where, like, if it was raining, it wouldn't be too big of an issue. And you'd also need to think about accessibility, you know, like what about someone that can't ride a bicycle? What do they do? So, not saying I've worked out all of the issues in my carless city, but I would love to think about how that would look and what would replace them that would be safer and better for the environment and honestly a little bit more fun. I don't find driving that fun. Some people do. My mom loves driving and that's cool, great, okay, go for it. But I find driving super boring and I always need to like listen to music or podcasts or something. I feel like sometimes I can just zone out if it's a long road trip or something and just kind of think about the world, and that's kind of fun. But often I'm just like eager to get to where I'm going. What do you think about transportation? What would you change? Another thing I think about a lot living in the city, and if you don't live in a city, maybe you think about this too, or maybe not, and that's okay. But like, where do we go to spend time with our friends, to meet new people, to just have fun and enjoy the world beyond like work or our places that we live? All right, again, sorry for the, I'll try to move that away from the microphone. I'm not going to build all of the apartment floors, but just enough so you can kind of see what I'm getting at. I guess I could. How tall? What is the scale here? What scale are we working at? How tall is this model apartment building? I don't know. Maybe as we go, we'll figure out some sort of scaling system. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm envisioning, where like you have these floors that are all staggered so that each of them gets, I guess we can, each of them gets plenty of sunlight and also plenty of shade. Something like that. Just like a tree. And then we can move this to the side. And this is gonna need a base. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna glue this to the base so that, right, we got a glob of glue that we can just pull off right here. Or I should say gloop. Oh, puns just tickle me to no end. Okay. All right, we got our hot glue webs here. Okay, keep that out of there. So yeah, then we have, oh, I kind of want little Lego people. Oh, next time I'll go get my little Lego people and they can be running around. Maybe that's a good scale for this. Okay, we're figuring this out as we go. So yeah, this is kind of my basic vision for an apartment building, where like each person gets their own little floor, or maybe you share it. Again, depending on how big the scale is, but I definitely like my privacy. I really enjoy living in the city, but I also want my privacy. Um, and then maybe you'd have like, I feel like you want to stagger them so that each floor gets maximum sunlight. But I also kind of like how the floors shade themselves. So like you can still get, it makes it a little easier to protect everybody from the rain. And then maybe at the top there'd be like a common deck or something like that. We can build that later. So let's see, what do I want to demonstrate now? I guess maybe that's what we start with. How much time are we at? We're at 12 minutes. Oh boy, it takes me a long time to build things with cardboard. Yeah. So maybe we'll start with that. And I'm curious to see what you'd like to see me add on to this. I could make little walls. I can get really detailed with this. I think that would be super fun, like building out the little gardens, because I think it would be really lovely if we grew more of our own food. Ooh, we would have a giant composting bin at the bottom. That's for sure. And I guess I could probably just take like one of these and be like, hey, there we go. That's to scale, right? And then of course, solar panels. Maybe since it's a magic wand, we'd have a nuclear fusion reactor, which is like what the sun does. Um, that would be amazing. But I also am a huge fan of the microgrid system where you have like everybody has a little bit of their own energy, and you have smaller electrical grid systems rather than one big grid system. It makes it a little bit more resilient. And actually, that's something that we could add is electricity, because I do have tiny solar panels that we could add. So that sounds really fun. And part of me was also thinking that we could learn a little bit of plumbing along the way, because I don't know a ton about plumbing, and so that would be fun for me to learn. So yeah, I guess kind of two things that we can explore together here. Number one is like, what kind of future cities do we want to live in? Let's build it together and imagine it together. And then number two, what kinds of things are you curious about learning when it comes to, I don't know if we want to dig into city planning because that's a big question, but like, kind of fundamental concepts like how do we create a simple circuit? How do we wire up a battery to a light bulb? We're not going to deal with AC because that is a little nerve wracking to me. I've worked with it a little bit, but let's stick with the small stuff, also because this is little tiny things. We could do a little bit of water shenanigans. How does water flow? How do you get it to go up? That's a good question. Yeah, let me know. I think this will be really fun, but mostly as a way for us to hang out together. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for joining me in this first episode. I'm really excited to hear from you, and to learn with you. All right. We'll see you next time. Bye. Goodbye, friend. Have a lovely evening.